Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another video on the channel. And today guys, here we are to do another AFL 2022 season review. And in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Carlton's 2022 AFL season. Now, you could say disappointing, but also decent season for Carlton, who ended up finishing 9th. But they had a massive choke after looking to finish top 4 for sure, or guaranteed top 8. They managed to miss out after making a massive choke. So we're going to go ahead and review their season. So, of course, first off, we kick it off with the ladder position and then recapping the season, then the highlights, best win, good plays, lowlights, worst loss, what's next, trade period and coach, and then recap and the final words. So, percentage is what it came down to make Carlton miss out on the 8. They finished 12 wins, 10 losses, with a point number of 48 and a percentage of 108.3, just 0.6% out of missing out on the top 8 because the Dogs got 108.9%. So just 0.6%, but still though, Carlton had a great start to the season but a disappointing end. So Carlton had a really good start to the season, taking down powerhouse team Richmond by 25 points in a bit of an upset, and then they beat the Dogs by 12 points in round number 2 in a high-scoring game. And then they beat the Hawks by 1 in round 3. Round 4 was their first loss of the season after going 3-0. They lost to the Gold Coast Suns at Metricon by 30. And then managed to just hold on against the Power. And then they went to Perth and lost to the Dockers by 35. And they comfortably beat poor sides North Melbourne by 50, Crows by 48. And then they thumped the Giants by 30 points. And then they took down another powerhouse team in Sydney by 15 points at Marvel Stadium. And then this is where the losses started rolling. So that's their first 10 games. They go 8-2, 8 wins, 2 losses after their first 10 games. And then things start to change. So they do lose to Collingwood by just 4 points in the end in round 11. So that makes them 8-3. And then they go 9-4 versus Essendon. They comfortably take down Essendon. So they're in a really good spot. And then, 9-3. And then they lose to Richmond in a close game. They comfortably get back against the Dockers, and they're almost primed to make the 8 here at this stage. Then they lose to the Saints by 15. They thump the Eagles by 63 points, and then they almost go on a bit of a losing streak. They lose to the Cats by 30. They beat the Giants by 36. And then all they had to do was win one more game to get into the 8, but they couldn't overcome the Crows. The Crows actually very solid win against the Blues by 29 points. Lost to the Lions by 33. Lost to the Demons by 5. Lost to the Pies by 1. So their last 4 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, were all losses. But again though, the last 3 losses were against Brisbane, Melbourne, Collingwood, and then the one before that, Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. So 4 very disappointing losses to end off the year, but against some pretty decent sides. Now, best win of the season. It was a really good win in round 1 versus Richmond. But I reckon I'm going to have to change. I'm going to have to say, could be Sydney, I reckon. Could be Sydney. Or Sydney. I reckon I'm going to have to say, I was thinking Sydney, but I think I'm going to say the Dockers by 31 now. They comfortably took down the Dockers when they were going through their pretty best stages. And the Dockers do like Marvel. That was a very strong win. And then also definitely against the Sydney Swans as well, back in round number 10. That was another really nice win as well for Carlton. Now, their worst loss was, I reckon, let's see what we've got. Their worst loss, was probably, I reckon it was probably against the Suns. Now, yes, the Suns were an okay side this year, but I think that one was just quite a disappointing loss to have their first loss of the season come in that sort of fashion. The game they were primed to win. I think that one was a bit of a disappointing loss, and we'll find another one as well. Definitely against arch rivals Collingwood, obviously. Disappointing losing to them twice. And I'm going to say against St Kilda, that was another game they were primed to win, and they let that one slip, and against the Crows. So there was some really poor losses in Carlton season, but also some pretty decent wins as well. So, trade-wise, the Blues are likely to land Fremantle wingman Blake Acres, which will help out. They are also expected to lose Liam Stocker to Essendon, and they are also showing a little bit of interest in Lockie Scholl from the Adelaide Crows and Fisher McCasey from the Adelaide Crows as well. So, a couple of trade targets. Again, they have been very heavy in the trade the last few years, getting players like Adam Sard, Adam Cerra, Zach Williams, George Hewitt. They've been very busy. This year's not going to be such a busy year. I feel like they're going to be getting some underrated players. Blake Acres, definitely one of those underrated players, which would be a great addition to Carlton. Lockie Shaw and Fisher McCasey, not sure Carlton really needs to go after them. Fisher McCasey could be good for a defence or a forward kind of player, but when you've got Harry Mackay and Charlie Kerner in the forward line that kick 60 goals a season, you're not really going to need Fisher McCasey because he was drafted from Adelaide as a key defender. It hasn't worked out for him, but if a club does snare him, he could be really good. So Carlton could pick him up for, well, basically nothing. The Crows could delist him at the end of the year, which could happen, or it would take a very, very, very cheap pick to get him. Lockie Shaw as well, same thing. Lockie Shaw is another general defender / a midfielder. I think he'd just be playing in the VFL side for Carlton anyway, so I don't really think they need to get him. But Fisher McCasey could be of a bit of use. But back to Blake Acres. He's going to be good on the wing for Carlton now. That is going to be really good for the Blues, having Blake Acres on the side. Again, he's going to be really cheap. 3rd round pick, I think, is what is believed to be needed to get him, which I think the Blues would be more than happy to do. And they're going to be having a stacked side, and I can't see why they can't make the 8 next year, because they're going to have a stacked team. Darcy Tucker's going to be a great addition. And then anyone else they pick up as well, like, could be, Fisher McCasey, Lockie Shaw, or any other rumoured players that could go to Carlton as well. So, look, the future's bright for Carlton. They do have a great team. It's not ageing or anything like that either, so I reckon they'll be able to contend with the 8 next year for sure. And, yeah, that's the thing they've done really well in the last couple of years, is attack the trade and also the draft as well. So they're going to be going in with, I think, they'll have a 1st round pick. But I think they do have a bit of a gap between their next few picks anyway. But Carlton, decent year under Michael Voss. They finished 9th after an 8-2 start to the year. Next year, they just need to get better at holding this season together because, after that 8-2 start, it was a bit disappointing for the Blues from there on. But, I reckon they've definitely got this list for years and can just keep on going again. And I reckon next year, they'll get their award and they'll get into the top 8. So, thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Send you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye, everyone. Flaming Footy out.